Hi there, I'm Chelsea Lundeen. I'll be your instructor today. And today's asana of the day is tree pose. So we're gonna get grounded through our roots and really feel the posture today and get a little balancing fun in there, so it'll be a good time. As always, we're gonna start in child's pose. That's my favorite introductory pose because it's so grounding and allows you to really kind of connect with your breath. So maybe I'll change it up one of these days, but for now we're gonna start in child's pose again. And you'll see we kind of work through a few of the same postures, and that's really me trying to almost drill it into you. Some, natural transitions between poses. So that way, if you're not in the mood to hit play on one of these videos someday, you'll almost have a set amount of poses to kind of run through and that you've become used to in your head. So it helps you kind of practice by yourself when you're not in front of a screen. So that's my intent anyway with some of these videos. So let's start out in child's pose today. Big toes together, knees nice and wide, and let's walk our hands down, resting our frontal lobe on the mat. Again, I apologize for Baxter's rambunctiousness. He's kind of obnoxious sometimes. And again, we're going to start our practice today just observing our breath. If there's anything on your mind that's been bothering you, I want you to just kind of push that away, push that aside for this practice. So we really want to focus on being intentional and being present in our yoga practices. That's one way we can make sure we're growing and feeling all right and just being present to how, and mindful to how our bodies are feeling when we do poses. So one way to do that is to just push all of our worries out aside and really focus on the moment. So let's do a few deep breaths here. Good, and when you're ready, we're gonna kind of lift our heads off the mat and roll our spines up into tabletop posture. So our wrists under our shoulders, our knees hip width apart, the top of our feet flat on the mat. Again, we're keeping our core engaged here. We're going to try something new with this pose today. So we're going to kind of shift our weight into our right knee as we lift up our left knee off the mat and kind of send it straight back. So we're straightening that knee. And we're just going to do some light pulses here. We're going to pulse that foot up if we can. So just up and down. So we'll feel that calf engaged. We'll feel our hamstrings engaged. We're just getting some nice pulses. Think about squeezing those glutes. All right, and at the top I want you to pause. And I want you to bend that knee and flex those toes towards your shin. And let's do some light glute kicks here. So we'll keep our gaze towards our mat as we kick our glutes up to the ceiling. It's almost like glute pulses in a sense. Remember to breathe here. Good. Feel that in your glute, your butte. Squeeze that booty. Here we go. Now let's stop. Straighten out that knee. And let's lower it back to the ground. Good. Let's get ready to do this on our other side. We're going to kind of press our weight into our left knee. We're going to straighten out our right knee. And let's kind of pulse it. Our toes pointed. Let's pulse it up and down here. So keep pulsing here. Good. Now stop at the top. Let's bend that knee, flex those toes towards our shins, and let's glute kick it up towards the ceiling. Keep pulsing. Good job, guys. Good, now let's stop, straighten out that knee, and let's bring our foot over to the back end of tabletop position. Feel free to do some pelvic circles here to kind of warm up the body if you'd like. Good. So let's tuck our toes under. Let's lift up those knees off the mat and kind of sink our sit bones back, back, back until we come into downward facing dog. Just breathe through the posture here. Wrists slightly out, turn fingers wide. Gaze to your knees or kind of just under your face, basically. And let's pedal at those feet if we can. Good job, guys. Again, keeping those knees bent if you need to. We're going to ground through our right foot here. And let's see if we can lift our left foot up and back. And so normally we like to keep our hips square, but since tree pose is kind of a hip opening pose, we're going to open up the hips to the ceiling. So we're going to point our toes and kind of open up those hips. Feel that nice. You'll feel it in your left butt cheek. Here we go. And also your side body here. Open them up. And on your exhale, let's tuck that knee in towards the chest and see if we can press our foot in, bring our foot up in between our hands. So if that just seems unreachable for you, feel free to use your hand to kind of guide your foot up in between. And I'm going to sit my right leg back just a little further. We're going to drop that right knee to the mat. And I want you to sit your hip bones back, keeping that left foot flat on the mat. Let's get a nice hamstring stretch here. So this is what we call half split pose. So keep your spine lengthened here. Good. Now let's rock it back up. And this is low lunge. So we're keeping our right toes tucked when we do this. And let's sit it back once more to half split. Only go if you need a little help or use blocks or something. Feel free to keep yourself lifted if that's more comfortable on you or in your hamstrings. Don't feel like you have to straighten them all the way if that's just too uncomfortable. You can also keep a nice bend in your knee if needed. And let's bring it back to low lunge here. Now if you feel like you can do this, let's kind of lift up and place your right elbow outside of your left knee. Lift your left arm up and bring our palms in prayer here. So we're opening up kind of our side body, so nice spinal stretch to the left side. And let's breathe here a moment. Good. If you can even stretch those right fingertips towards the mat and bring your left arm up and over, gaze high or gaze forward. But it's totally okay to rest in with your palms together as well. So this is totally acceptable, whatever is comfortable for you. And let's release. So let's push our right knee back up and send our left leg back into high plank and back into downward facing dog. Breathe here a moment. Now let's ground through that left foot as we sweep our right foot up. Let's open up those hips. So really open, point those toes, and feel that nice stretch through your outer hip and glutes. Good. When you're ready, inhale. Let's bring that foot in between the hands if you can. Again, feel free to help it out if you can't quite get there. Drop that left knee to the mat and come into a low lunge. Feel that nice stretch through the hips and the groin. Now sit your sit bones back, 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 and let's come into a half split. Again, keeping that spine long and lengthened. And bend it into a low lunge. exhale it out into a half split. We kind of breathe through the postures here. When you're ready, we can bring your left arm up and over, resting that elbow on the outside of your right knee. Not trying to push it in, remember, I'm going to keep that knee solid and sturdy right in its place. Bring our right arm up to come into palms together. Try not to sink too much into your hips if you can. We want to keep our core active here. That helps with sinking too much weight into our hips. If you're feeling up for it, drop those left fingertips to the mat. Open your right hand up. If you want, you can even open it down. This is a little more comfortable for the shoulders. Or keep them in prayer pose. And let's release. So bring your palms back to the mat. Lift that left knee. And let's come up into high plank and sink it back into downward facing dog. Breathe through the pose here. Good. When you're ready, let's tiptoe our feet up, keeping a micro bend in our knees. You're going to come up into forward fold. Again, bending the knees, bringing that chest towards your thighs if you can. Inhale, halfway lift here, spine lengthened and long, straightening up those knees if you can. And exhale back into our forward fold. On your inhale, I want to keep that slight bend in the knees as we roll vertebrae by vertebrae, chin tucked up into mountain pose. A couple deep breaths here. Feet hip width apart. And I'll turn to face you guys. Inhale, let's sweep our arms up towards the ceiling, gaze high. Palms together in prayer. Let's lower them down to our chests. One more deep inhale here, arms up. Gaze high. And this time let's keep our arms up. And we're going to do a little balancing act here. Practice balancing. Since tree pose is a balancing pose, let's shift our weight into our right foot. And let's just tap our left foot out and in if we can. So we want to practice think about keeping your shoulders out and back. You can have a slight bend in the elbows, that's totally fine. And let's just tap our foot out. So this is just getting used to having the weight in one foot. Remembering to breathe. And just lightly tap with your big toe. Good. Let's gently step. Let's bring our palms down in prayer at our chest. And we're going to attempt tree pose. So, if you have weak ankles, as some people do, some people just find it too wobbly to do tree pose, you can rest your big toe still on the mat and rest your heel almost on like your inner calf muscle or your inner leg of your right leg. And if this is tree pose for you, that's perfectly fine. It takes a while to build up strength in the ankles. But otherwise, if you want to try it a little further up, you can bring it to the inside of your calf muscle. We want to avoid putting any pressure on our knee. We don't want to put it here, even though that's like instinct to put it above or over our knee. That is not what we want. So we either can keep it here on the calf, or you can even use your hand to help it up and put it on your inner thigh. So whichever one is more comfortable for you. It's okay if you fall. That's all right. So I'm going to keep mine on my inner calf muscle here. You can even use your hand to kind of pull your knee out and wide. And you can keep your arms rested in prayer, or you can bring them up and out. You can keep them wide or keep palms together. I like palms together in this pose. So whichever position you're in right now, just kind of breathe through the pose. Good, and let's release. Okay. So inhale, arms up. Palms together. Let's lean our weight into our left foot. And let's tap that right foot out. In and out. Tapping that big toe to the mat. Just kind of getting comfortable. Good. Keep tapping. Doing great. Okay, now let's try it. Let's bring our palms down to our chest for a little extra, I should say, balance. Center of gravity is a little better. And you can, again, keep your big toe resting on the mat and just have your heel elevated, or you can bring it to your inner calf, or assist it up onto your inner thigh. Try to keep that knee nice and wide if you can. But whatever position is most comfortable for you is perfect. Again, we can keep our palms in prayer, or we can sweep them up. Feel as if you have roots coming through your feet and down into the mat. You will feel all of the little bones in your foot working together with your muscles. Keep you balanced. There'll be constant shifting motion in your foot, in your leg, as all the muscles work together to find balance. One more deep breath here. Good, and let's release. We're gonna slight bend in the knees. Inhale, arms up. Let's come into a forward fold. Swan dive down, spine lengthen here. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Put our palms on the mat as we step back into high plank, and then push those hips back into downward facing dog. Good. Deep breaths here. Let's inhale, let's roll onto our toes and come up onto our knees. And we are going to sit back on our mats and bring our feet together. This is what we call butterfly pose. So you can, for a little more of a stretch, you can bring your feet closer to your body, or if that's a little too uncomfortable for you, you can bring them out just a little wider. Whatever works for you. And then your feet together. Remember to keep your spine long here. And I'm going to bring mine just a little closer. And let's just breathe through the pose, allowing gravity to naturally just kind of sink your knees in towards the mat. So they don't have to touch the mat, but we're just going to let gravity do its thing and sink them a little closer to the mat. If you're feeling adventurous, you can almost, on each exhale, bring your chest a little closer to your feet, so it's almost like a butterfly forward fold. But again, we're trying to keep our spine long here. So deep inhale, and then exhale, just sink a little closer. This is just to deepen the stretch in the groin, the hips. You can even walk our hands out a little more if we want to. Now let's come and bring our knees together. And let's just roll back onto to our backs. And we're gonna bring our knees, use our right hand to bring our knees over to our right side. We're gonna bring our left hand out. We're just gonna feel a nice spinal stretch here. This one's really gentle. Gonna release it over to the other side. So loose with the left hand, bring those knees down and over. Go pet your dog if it's resting next to you on the mat. Good, now let's bring our feet back together, knees wide. And rest the back of our hands on our mat. This is a modified corpse pose or reclined butterfly. And let's just breathe here, reconnecting with our breath. You can either stay in this pose or join me at the front of the mat.
He's just the sweetest, isn't he?
I thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you were able to master tree pose, but if you weren't, don't fret. Just keep working on it and you'll build balance over time. It will naturally come, especially as you progress through this program. So I encourage you to not get discouraged and just take it at your own pace and just do your best, because that's really all we can do. So thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.